Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with this wonderful new RCA box featuring all of the recordings made by the Chamber Symphony of Philadelphia under its founder and music director, Anshel Brusilow, who was the concertmaster of the Philadelphia Orchestra from 1959 to 1966. These recordings were made from like 1966 to 1968, and the ensemble disbanded shortly thereafter. The Chamber Symphony of Philadelphia, that is. It had a rather fraught life, and you can read about it in Brusilow's biography, his autobiography, that is. It's a very interesting book, by the way. I enjoyed it. But basically what happened was this. I mean, he's a little partisan, so we'll try to round out the picture a bit. Ormandy had made him swear that he would not be a conductor when he became concertmaster. And of course, he immediately became a conductor. And that pissed off Ormandy. And so Ormandy arranged for the orchestra to have a clause that prohibited full-time orchestra members from moonlighting in ensembles of more than 5 people. And he quit in protest and founded this group. He had been playing with the Philadelphia Chamber Players or Chamber Orchestra or something like that before then. But here's the point. The 5 big American orchestras were always out to snatch players from each other. There was a great deal of competition in those days to get the best people, because it's not like it was today where you have conservatories everywhere churning out technically fabulous musicians with no places to find work. I mean, back in those days, there were the prestige orchestras and a couple prestige conservatories who turned out students taught by prestige teachers, with the provenance going back to, the time of Guillaume de Machaut and Orlando de Lasso and whatnot. And those great players were known quantities. And the big conductors wanted them. They were very jealous of each other. And it was a whole thing, all the politics and bullshit and whatnot. Kind of fun to read about, though. So Ormandy, understandably, was very concerned that not only did other orchestras want to filch Philadelphia players, but he did not want Philadelphia players being filched by the Chamber Symphony of Philadelphia. There were also issues expressed of whether or not there was enough interest in the city of Philadelphia to fund 2 orchestras, especially when the Chamber Orchestra was doing a lot of repertoire that the big orchestra was also doing. Now Brusilow, in his autobiography, rather ingenuously suggests that they were doing lots of repertoire that Philadelphia, the big orchestra, was not doing. That's true. But they were also doing a lot of repertoire that the big orchestra was doing, because that was the repertoire people wanted to hear. So the result was that the big orchestra won that battle, and these people ceased to exist. And, people will get very defensive and uppity about it, but, it wasn't any loss. They were very good. These are very good recordings. I'll tell you what's on them. They're lovely recordings. They were wonderful. They had excellent musicians. They were artistically top-notch. Who cares? There's only enough room in the universe for that much stuff. That's the bottom line. It's the way the world works. So while I sympathize to a degree with, Brusilow for wanting to put this together and raising it to a high level, and it's a shame that it was gone and all that, well, are we missing anything? Not really. So, are we missing anything with these recordings? A very interesting question. That's the question. The recordings answer the question very well. Yes and no. Because some of the stuff is rather standard and some of the stuff is kind of unique. Let's start with Disc 1, the Brahms First Serenade. And let's stipulate that all of the performances are fine. They're excellent performances. The playing is marvelous. The interpretation's warm and lively and fresh. Beautiful performances all the way through. I don't need to even get into the details more than that. They really are. But Brahms' First Serenade. Now, back when these were recorded in 1966, that wasn't a terribly common piece. It really wasn't. Now they're a dime a dozen. But back then it was something of a novelty, and so that was nice to have. CD2, Richard Yardumian, the Philadelphia composer, who was championed by Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra. Come Creator Spirit. This is his mass in English. It's a full mass in English with Lily Chukazian and the Fordham University Glee Club and the Thomas More College Women's Chorale. It's a lovely work. this is kind of unique. It's nice to have from a discographical point of view. Yardumian, of course, was a Philadelphia orchestra artist in a way. So Ormandy may have been pissed that they were filching some Yardumian, but he didn't make this. So, okay, there's a unique item that sort of justifies the folder all around the Chamber Symphony of Philadelphia. Next, the Tchaikovsky Fourth Suite, Mozartiana. Lovely, lovely performance of that with the Anton Arensky variations on the theme of Tchaikovsky and the Tchaikovsky Andante Cantabile. A very nice recording, which featured some unique repertoire in the day and which wasn't otherwise duplicated by the Philadelphia Orchestra, I don't think. No, I don't think so. Cherubini, Symphony in D major. Now, the Cherubini Symphony was all but unknown. There was an early recording by Toscanini. Remember that one? And it's a charming, charming work, coupled with Haydn's number 60, the distracted Il Distrato. Oh, I wish that they would have joined the fifth and sixth movements, attacca, instead of having a big, long pause between them, which makes no sense whatsoever. But the performances are, like I said, fresh, lively, delightful, and the Haydn 60 was a real rarity, as was the Cherubini. So there you go. Disc 5, the Tombeau de Couperin. Oh, well, Ormandy did that, right? And the Jean Françaix Serenade for Small Orchestra. So that's charming. And there's some more stuff here. Ibert's Symphonic Suite, Paris, which is absolutely delightful, and his Capriccio for 10 instruments. This was all fairly original, unique work. The Ravel is there, of course, because that's the only thing that people buying the record might have heard of. So there it is. But it does duplicate what Ormandy and Philadelphia were doing. And finally, Richard Strauss, the Bourgeois Gentilhomme, which Ormandy did do, and the Italian Serenade. Like I said, good performances. The repertoire on these discs sort of tracks what happened with the ensemble itself. Some things duplicated what Philadelphia was doing. Some things did not. And the did not stuff is more interesting than the things that did, because especially since 1966 to 68, there are a million recordings of most of this repertoire. Anyway, what happened after this in 68 is that the Philadelphia Orchestra jumped ship to RCA from Columbia, and RCA no longer had any interest in this group, and unfortunately they ran out of funds and disbanded. So there you have it, my friends. I'm glad these things exist. They are collector's items. They are beautiful performances of an interesting little sidebar in the history of, orchestral recording and performance in the good old US of A. I like it's good stuff. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.